Thanks, Gabby. Hey, everyone. I'm Grant Harrell, the host of Are We There Yet on MarketScale. I want to invite you to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or by visiting the MarketScale website. Each episode explores the people and companies doing the incredible things in the world of transportation. On a recent episode of the show, I talked to Via Space about their mission to reduce some of the risk and cost associated with space exploration. Today, I am very excited to speak with Via Space, what I believe is one of the most exciting companies in the space industry that's truly defining the next generation of space and small satellite travel. And to speak with us about Via Space, we have the chairman of the board of directors, Sid Gutierrez, and the chief executive officer, Brent Willis. Sid Gutierrez is a retired NASA astronaut, a graduate of the United States Air Force Test Pilot Academy, has served in numerous executive positions, including Sandia National Labs, for example. Brent Willis is a multinational chief executive officer, having served for organizations like Coca-Cola and Kraft, for example, working with companies and projects around the world. Sid, Brent, thank you so much for your time today, and welcome to Are We There Yet?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about Via Space, as I know our audience is as well. And if I may ask you, Sid, Via Space has established an incredible, ambitious mission to revolutionize access to space, making space available safely in a rapidly growing small satellite market. I understand that behind your mission, safety is truly a driving force behind the organization and the mission. Can you tell us a little bit more why safety is so important to Via Space?
Well, first and foremost, we value our people. So safety is our first value. But safety is also the cornerstone of any successful endeavor. Very few projects survive a major accident. When I was a kid, everybody was talking about Buck Rogers and the Jetsons, but realizing the benefits of space has been exceedingly slow coming because access to space has been hindered by both risk, cost, and reliability. And amazingly, these things are all interconnected. Systems that are simple are safer and more reliable. And both of these features drive down costs. The satellite market is very elastic. Companies build satellites to perform functions like communications or data gathering. Those functions can almost always be performed in other ways. If they can be performed at lower cost with satellites, the users will migrate to satellites. So safety, reliability, and affordability are the keys to growing the market even faster.
Well, thank you so much for that, Sid, and certainly recognize the importance of safety, and just so glad to hear that that really is a driving force behind Via Space's very exciting work. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I understand that in addition to safety, within your mission and technology, as you touched on, sustainability and reliability are also very important components of the mission. Brent, if you don't mind, would you please tell us a little bit more about your focus on both sustainability as well as reliability?
Well, when I looked at the sector, Grant, in terms of complexity and the number of failed launches and failures overall, sometimes catastrophic, I was just so impressed with Sid's vision and so impressed with Via's approach. Of course, the safety is, as he mentioned, but frankly, fewer moving parts translates to fewer things to go wrong, right? And the simplicity, almost the elegant simplicity of Via's approach, well, that equates to significantly more reliability, and importantly, a sustainable cost advantage, right? Yeah. So not only do we get the reliability by having fewer moving parts and the safety and the reliability from every piece of what we do, but the sustainability piece is the amount of, for example, recycled plastics we put in our landfills is just unconscionable, right? I used to work for the Coca-Cola company, and they are one of the worst culprits. And so the fact that in addition to the safety, reliability, and cost advantages, we can make a huge difference for the planet was such a huge draw for me. And I'm just so proud of what the company does in that respect for the planet.
Absolutely. It's incredible what you're achieving. And speaking to the sustainability and the recycled plastics and recycled water bottles, beverage bottles, as you've mentioned, I understand that within each launch, an incredible amount of recycled plastics and bottles are used. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those statistics? I think it's incredible.
Well, it's only 2 million per launch, right? So yeah. I think it's better not to put 2 million recycled bottles, or, frankly, they're not really even recyclable. The major beverage companies, they don't recycle them. They downcycle them, right? They don't make new bottles from there. And even though they're 100% quote recyclable, Grant, only about 30% of them end up in the recycled system. The rest go in landfills. So my logic is, let's not leave those bottles on the planet in whatever way. Let's take them off the planet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. I understand also, Brent, that there's a very special meaning behind ViaSpace's name. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I don't get credit for it. It's Sid. It's our chairman, right?
Yeah.
But when astronauts take off, what I understand is the mission control typically says Godspeed. Well, Sid being our country's first U.S.-born Hispanic astronaut, they said to Sid, Vaya con Dios, go with God, right? Yeah. So, and with that, Via was born, and thanks to NASA and Sid, they get all the credit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. What a special meaning and a special name that the organization has. I love it. Brent, you've recently joined ViaSpace as the organization's chief executive officer. As I just briefly touched on, you have an incredible background, interest in sustainability and in the environment, and as you just shared with us a little bit about, and fits so well within ViaSpace's mission and just some major advantages of the technology. Would you mind telling us just a little bit more about yourself, maybe just a brief introduction to ViaSpace and why it was important for you to join this incredible team?
Well, yes, I would mind, because I don't like talking about myself and I don't like talking about past accomplishments. And trust me, man, I am not here for the clapping hands.
Yeah.
I am here to do extraordinary things for the planet, for this company. And I like doing big things, right? So yes, I was proud to be Coke's youngest president and create the world's largest beer company with this obscure Belgian beer company nobody had ever heard of for like 650 years. Yes, I was proud of those things, but it just doesn't matter. What matters is, what are you going to do going forward? What difference are you going to make going forward? And are you going to be purpose and mission driven? That was what was so gravitating about Via. This is a purpose-driven company. This is a mission-driven company. This is such a potential disruptor, but not just disrupting and creating a big business, doing it in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. I love it. I love it. It's all about the future. It's all about today and what we're working to accomplish and what's important to us. So very, very well said. I appreciate that very much. Sid, you have an incredible background, and I won't ask you because I know you're very much the same way, that it's all about today and the future, and you do have an incredible background and just amazing experience that you bring to ViaSpace and is such a part of the work that you're doing now. But if you don't mind me asking, you're the first individual that I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with that's traveled to space, and would love if you'd be so kind to maybe just share maybe a quick space story with us, maybe something that just maybe points a little bit to the amazing experience that you've had to travel to space. Would you mind sharing a story with us?
Sure. So the microgravity, or the weightless environment while flying in space, it's unique and it's interesting. You adjust to it pretty quickly. The views are what are absolutely amazing. But the most incredible thing about the views is how quickly they change. Because you're moving at about 18,000 miles an hour. That converts to about 25,000 feet per second. I can't even really imagine that, even having done it. But you literally go all the way around the world in about 90 minutes.
Wow.
And I didn't fully grasp the meaning of that until we were delayed on the launch pad for my first launch. We were sitting on the coast of Florida at about 9 o'clock in the morning. The sun was beating in my window. And I looked over at the commander, and he was adjusting the background lights on his instruments.
Okay.
And I asked him if he thought he was going to need them soon. And he responded that within 30 minutes of launch, it would be dark. Wow. And that's when the full impact of what we were doing really hit me.
Wow.
So to accelerate to that speed, 18,000 miles an hour in just a few minutes requires the generation of a tremendous amount of energy. And that's why rockets must be so powerful. But controlling the generation of that energy is why safety is so important.
Yes, very good. Very good. That's incredible. 18,000 miles an hour, 25,000 feet in a second. I think if yes. I heard correctly, that's amazing. So, gosh, you think of how long it takes to get to that type of altitude in a commercial plane nowadays, and to think that in a rocket you do it in about a second. That's amazing to consider. If you don't mind, I'd like to throw in a fun question, Sid, because again, first individual I've ever had the opportunity to get to speak with that's traveled to space. I thought you might have an opinion on this, and would only ask for, maybe a one-word yes or no answer. Do aliens exist?
So that's an interesting question. First, there's no reason why astronauts should have any unique insight into that question, because if an alien can travel light years to get to Earth, they're not going to stop in near Earth orbit. They're going to come all the way down to the surface of the Earth. But since you asked the question, based on information released by our government and observations of airline pilots that I've spoken with, there are technologies that have manifested themselves that we simply do not understand. We apparently know very little about these events, and I think we should seek to understand them better before we start guessing at what category we should put them in.
Very good. Very good. Well spoken. Well, thank you for that. I think that provides some accredited insight into the question. So thank you so much. I understand, Brent, if you don't mind me asking you, that you're actively accepting 2023 reservations from organizations, and want to wish you congratulations on this accomplishment. And I know that you're working hard to move things forward safely, but quickly as well. And so, fitting within the theme of the series, we often ask, are we there yet? And so, would love to ask you, economical, environmentally friendly, reliable, precise satellite launching through hybrid rocket technologies, are we there yet?
I don't think we'll ever be there, Grant. But one of the benefits of being a CEO is you get to answer questions that you want to answer. And I want to answer Sid's question. Because he evaded it, if you ask me. And I think in business, in my career, I've run into some of those aliens. Some of these guys in business that I've run into are crazy.
Yeah.
And, take Elon Musk. I'm sure that dude is an alien. That guy's really crazy. So, a lot of progress comes from being a little bit different, being a little bit willing to be 3 standard deviation driving for change. And that's where breakthrough comes from, right? I look at VIA, yes, we have the safety. Yes, we have the reliability, but we're also 30% lower cost than anybody on the planet. So we're never going to be there because we can always improve. We can always drive eco-friendly. We can always drive economic. We can always drive all of the aspects of eco. But, honestly, we've got a saying inside the company now. We say Via Grande, go big. And we have all of the potential to Via Grande, go big, building off of Sid's legacy.
Very good. Very good. I love it. Via Grande. If I may ask too, via space, you're revolutioning access to space in the small satellite market. I'd love learning a little bit more about the market myself. I certainly, when thinking of small satellites, telecommunications, global positioning systems, things like that come to mind, but there's a lot more applications and a lot of industries that are in the small satellite area. Without providing any company names, could you tell us a little bit more about some of the industries, some of the product or technology applications that these small satellite clients operate within?
Well, just for frame of reference, Grant, there's been about 10,000 satellites that have been put up into low Earth orbit in the past 20 years.
Okay.
Over the next 20, they expect to put up more than 100,000.
Wow.
And each launch is worth 10 to 15 million. So that's over $1 trillion of a market opportunity going forward. And it's everything from internet, to 5G communication, to farming, to military applications, to Earth observation to see weather and land patterns, farming patterns, and of course, Chinese and Russian spy satellites going up. Our country would never do those things and put those kinds of satellites up. But all of those applications are just going to drive huge demand, and they're becoming cheaper. And guess what? From a business model standpoint, it's a recurring revenue model. Because some of these smaller satellites, guess what? They come back down to Earth over a period of time, or they wear out. So it's like batteries running out. So there is a recurring business to this going forward. So, we're really excited about the opportunity, and the kinds of markets out there it's just really starting, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting to hear. $1 trillion market opportunity. That's incredible. So when you talk a little bit about some of these industries, the different applications, the number of launches, the potential market over the next couple of years, it's exciting. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about the impact. And so through some of the technologies, the lower cost, the simplicity of the technology itself, not to mention some of the sustainable environmental advantages, but through Viaspace's technology and through improving the industry and the launch capabilities and reducing that cost, what's the impact of all of this through Viaspace's offerings? How does that affect some of the industry's business life as we know it?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're an unknown entity, but we're just now sort of coming out, if you will. As we come out and people see all of these components of competitive advantage, sustainability, cost advantage, reliability, safety, all of these things, the vectors of opportunities that will open up to the company are just untold, from missiles to, just any kind of engine. And it's actually easier not to put something up into space or into the air, but to look at all of the engine market where, we can make a difference and further disrupt. But companies that fail to focus, or people that fail to focus, one thing happens, they fail. And so guys like Sid, myself, our company, we focus on what is going to make the biggest impact and biggest difference. And our next target is take advantage of this huge burgeoning small satellite launch market, where not only can we get our fair share of that market, which fair share, as we define it, is all of it. And we think that's fair for us. So, like I said, Via Grande, we're going big.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'd like to thank each of you for your insights today. I appreciate your answers also to some of the fun questions. I'm glad that I've learned today. It sounds like there's a pretty good chance that aliens do exist. It sounds like each of you have worked with a couple in the past. Elon Musk may be one of them. We know now. So we appreciate some of the insights there, but more so about Viaspace and the incredible work that the organization and that each of you are doing. And so want to thank you so very much for your time today, and wish you, each of you and the organization, continued success. And in your words, in the theme of Viaspace, Via Grande, go big. And thank you so much for sharing some of these incredible insights with us today at Are We There Yet? And we look forward to watching what's next for Viaspace.
Thanks, Grant. Sid.
Thank you. The mask mandate for all flights originating in the United States came to a sudden and swift end on Monday, April 18th, after a Florida Middle District judge deemed the order unlawful due to lack of mandate reasoning. How did that decision impact the travel industry, and what will it mean moving forward? Here's expert Sarah Dandashi with her thoughts.
Big news for the travel industry this week as a federal judge in Florida strikes down the Biden administration's mask mandate. What does that mean for us? Well, that basically means if you are flying on any of the major airlines within the United States, you are no longer required to wear a mask. April 18th, a lot of the airlines came out to say that they were now making masks optional. We're talking about United, American, Delta, Spirit, Alaska. All of the major airlines within the United States have gone out and announced that masks are now optional. And this goes to show where we are as a whole in regards to the pandemic, and certainly as the travel industry views the pandemic. But I think everybody within the travel industry, and certainly those of us within the US, are having this big sigh of relief that this is a big mile marker for really feeling like we are getting on the other side of the pandemic. And certainly within the travel industry, hospitality industry, it has been hit exceptionally hard over the past few years. So this was a big day, and people were celebrating. For those that have maybe seen online, there were, as they were making announcements on planes, you had flight attendants and pilots, people walking down the aisles, collecting people's masks, this sort of sense of relief and joy. Now that is also still, it is still optional. So I do foresee many travelers, as we move forward out of this, will still probably be wearing masks. But it is nice that people and travelers will actually have the option to make the decision on what makes them feel the most comfortable. And certainly as we kind of come out of this, I think that we will see more travelers in general feeling comfortable, maybe more willing to take those longer flights, for example, without having to feel maybe restricted or uncomfortable if that was a hindrance before. So really, again, this is big news in the industry. And I think this is an exciting time that we're kind of going into this second part of 2022 with this sense of optimism, and only excited to see travel bounce back even more.
Well, that's all for me today. Thank you so much for joining me to learn about the exciting things that we're covering at MarketScale in the transportation industry. Let me turn things over to Daniel Litwin for a look at the stories and trends in technology.